Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today I'm going to start out with my bag of words, and then I'm going to move over to this deck, which I shuffled, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. All right, let's see what I got. All right. Oh, I got two words. All right, so I'll keep that. Indifference. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Indifference and loneliness. Interesting. Two very interesting words. When I got indifference, I thought, it's almost like we're okay with either way, right? Whichever way things turn out. And while most of us want to be indifferent about things, we sometimes struggle with that because we have our ideas of how life should be. And whenever we think of something as to how it should be, we have this expectation, right? We create this expectation, and when that expectation isn't met, we're going to find ourselves feeling frustrated, feeling disappointed, and many other emotions. Eventually, right, being in that space long enough, right, we can find ourselves also feeling lonely because there are these unmet expectations and needs that are just left unattended or cultivated, like the expectations, right? We continue to cultivate these expectations, and loneliness starts to creep in because we start to feel isolated because emotionally there's an unmet need. We have this need to have an experience, an emotional experience, and when we're not having that, then we find ourselves not only having the negative emotions, right, where we can feel sad in mood, disappointed, frustrated, and so forth, or anxious, but we can also find ourselves feeling really lonely because we're going to feel disconnected. We have this need, it's not being met, and we're going to feel this sense of disconnection. And to cultivate a sense of connection, right, I mean, there are many ways that we can do it, but one way in particular that I'm thinking about is cultivating a connection with our soul. And the reason for it is because we can use a lot of tools and they're very helpful for us and we benefit from using them. But in the end, right, there's this wholeness that we seek to experience, this sense of emotional safety and completion within that we seek to experience. And in order to be able to experience that, right, we need to create a connection with our soul. And when we do that, then our loneliness, right, starts to shift because we're feeling connected. We're not feeling disconnected. We're not feeling fragmented, right? We're feeling connected. So we want to use the tools, right, to create a sense of harmony, but to create a complete harmonious experience, right, we have to go a step further to be able to cultivate that for ourselves. So before I go any further, I will pick a card from this deck, The Four Agreements. I shuffle the deck, and the card on top, it's really beautiful. It's angel wings, right? Well, it looks like two angels actually. And it says, release the need to be right. Now, I love that. Release the need to be right. Because immediately, right, I think about, right, do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? And these are, whatever, right, this is a question that we can ask ourselves. And that's what I thought about when I saw that. But let's read the card and see what it says. It says, when you believe something, you assume you are right, and you may even destroy relationships in order to defend your position. Let go of the need to defend your position. Oh, I love that. Because it's not only true, but it also shows up a lot in our expectations. In other words, we have this expectation of somebody, and then if expectation isn't met, right, we will be bent on proving that we're right. And in that process, right, create more conflict and more separation and more discord in our relationships. So, right, when we think about, right, do I want to be right and do I want to be happy? That doesn't necessarily resolve all of it. It just is a question that allows us to put things into perspective. So if I say to myself, right, I want to be happy, then I'm going to back up in that moment. That doesn't mean I'm not going to resolve my need to be right or understand that better when I say resolve it, right? I'm like, yes, it doesn't mean that I won't spend time with trying to understand that part of myself. But I will, right, in that moment, know that if I want to be happy, then let me just pull back and let me take time to understand this through broader lens, as opposed to just sticking to my point and being bent on being right. It's like, oh, I don't know if I said that right, but you know what I mean, right? Like sticking to the point of being right. And it says, right, let go of the need to defend your position. That's right. Let that need go, or put it to the side for that moment until, right, we can take the time to understand the need better, as opposed to forcing someone to see our point when they don't, and creating more, I'm getting this like entanglement image, like creating more entanglement and chaos and so forth for ourselves and for the relationship, and and go in a direction that we don't really want to be in. Now, again, this is all easier said than done, right? But it is something to keep in mind so that, right, we can create a focus for ourselves. Like I said, if I want to be right, I can ask myself the question if I want to be right or happy. And while that doesn't change everything, or doesn't give me all the insight I need in that moment, it gives me enough to make a choice in that moment, and then take the time, right, to understand myself or the situation better, or through different lens and so forth. So it's just an awareness, right, that it gives us enough to get through that moment and to allow us to start breaking away from old ways of doing things, right? Old patterns that lead us to feeling lonely or any other yucky emotion, or having a yucky experience that we no longer want to have, right? We then have to do something different in order to create something different for ourselves, in order to create a different experience. And when we ask ourselves certain questions, we can do that. And ultimately, right, going back to the word indifferent, we want to bring ourselves back to that place, but through a healthy lens. In other words, when we resolve, right, the need that we have emotionally, and we understand what it is that's going on within us, then we're more likely to be indifferent with a healthy, lighthearted, perspective. In other words, we may not really have preferred, right? For example, we may not have preferred the situation to have gone the way it did, or for things to have happened the way they did, but we accept it for what is. We just allow it to be, instead of trying to force something, right? We allow it to be, and we create the safety within, because when we create the safety within, then, right, we can feel at peace within. And then we can, right, create the indifference, which is, I'm okay either way. If things work out, I'm okay. And if things don't work out, I'm okay. Either way, I'm okay. And either way, I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm prospering. I don't need to get the prize in order to have won. If I gain my inner peace, I can perceive that as winning as well, right? It's a choice, right? So yeah, that's what's coming to mind and what felt inspired to share today. I hope that helps you in some way. If it did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I upload further videos. And if you want to find out more of what I'm offering, you can go to my website, and all the information is down in the description below. All right, have a beautiful day. Bye for now.